Hello everyone, let's take a look at our green comet that is now visible in the night sky. It is actually visible by the naked eye as well, but if you have binoculars, even the smallest one, you will be able to see it much better. And it's most visible between February the 1st and 5th. This is what they are telling us. So let's take a look at how it is manifesting and how we can interpret it maybe in our natal chart or just astrologically. So it's called the Green Comet. This is how it became dubbed. And color is always very important when you want to delineate a comet. And we are going to look at the traditional view, how they interpreted it in old times. Because if you come to think of it, astrology and the planets, the movement of the planets and all kinds of astrological cycles are always very coordinated, very predictable. It is really the music of the spheres. Astronomers and astrologers alike want to know what's happening, and it's predictable, it's calculable. So every time something out of the ordinary appears in the sky, that is disruption. That signifies some sort of negative energy. And that is why comets have a very bad reputation. The word itself comes from the Latin or Greek, both can be named, Latin cometes or the Greek kone, and both suggest hair. So it is because it's a hairy object, because they are made up by frozen dust and of course ice and all sorts of frozen gases like methane, like ammonia, like I think carbon monoxide is the third one. It's in the paper somewhere, so you can check it out. And whenever they are coming towards the sun, nearing the sun's rays, the heat of the sun, it causes it to melt. And as they are melting, that's why they have this coma, okay, the hair itself. So yeah, this is how you translate it actually. And that is why they are such a spectacular phenomenon in the night sky, especially when they are big. And this particular one, so this comet, which has the label of Steve/2022 E3 ZTF, sorry. And this particular picture was taken by Don Bartlett, NASA. Let's give him credit because it's a wonderful picture. There are many out there, so you can find many, but I like this the most because it actually shows that it has not one but two comas. So it has a front and an end coma actually, which is quite unique. And this particular one has an orbital period of 50,000 years. So it's really, really a long period. We are going to look at the Oort cloud in a minute, where it comes from, and most comets come from that region. Okay, so here, the home of the comets is the Oort cloud. Now, this region was presupposed, or actually posited really, by Jan Oort. I think he's a Danish astronomer. No one actually took a look at the Oort cloud. No one actually photographed it yet, because it is at the outskirts of the solar system. They don't even actually know how big it is. There are two ways to measure things, and one is used within the solar system, and that's the astronomical unit. One astronomical unit is the average distance of the sun and the earth, which is 150 million kilometers. So one astronomical unit is 150 million kilometers. You can imagine how many zeros you have if you add this up, or if you actually calculate it in kilometers. And the other measurement is outside the solar system, is used outside the solar system, which is the light year. And it consists of the space, or the distance, which is covered by light within 1 solar year, 1 earthly year. And if you know that within 1 second, light covers 300,000 kilometers, you can again actually calculate how many zeros there are after this number. So these are enormous distances, of course. And they posit at the moment that the edge of the Oort cloud is anywhere between 2,000 and 200,000 astronomical units. But I also read another article which posited that actually the edge of the solar system, the edge where the Oort cloud finishes, is actually 1 light year from the sun. If you know that the sun's rays that you can actually see now started 8 minutes ago, so our central star takes 8 minutes and I think 20 seconds for us to their rays to reach us to see that particular light. Anyhow, so that's the Oort cloud. Here is a picture. I think I did put the credit here. Here's the source site.org, and you can see how they model this whole thing. You see the sun, and then the visible planets until Saturn. You see the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, and then after Neptune and Pluto, you see the Kuiper belt. Actually, Pluto is among the Kuiper belt. It's a Kuiper belt object. And this is still the heliosphere. So it is the sphere linked to the sun. And then you see what is called interstellar medium. And this is the Oort cloud. And as you can see, there are question marks where it starts and where it finishes. So we don't actually know. Nobody actually photographed it. There is an artist's take of how it probably looks like. So this is the Oort cloud. And what interests us is that this is the home for comets. This is where they come from. And there are zillions of comet nuclei in the Oort cloud. And sometimes they set off and become an orbiting object around the sun. And that's what comets are. As I said, they are made of ice and frozen gases. Also, there are some dust in it. So if you consider they are made of dust, ice, and frozen gases, which means that you have 3 of the main elements of the 4 natural elements, earth, air, and water in them. And as they are nearing the sun, of course, the sun's rays are melting this frozen thing. And that's why they have the coma. That's why they all of a sudden have this phenomenon of the coma. So you actually have the 4th element given by the sun's rays to it. So they constitute all, actually they carry all 4 of them. As they start melting, they might fall apart. If you look back in the last couple of years, comet histories and in the news, you will see how many times we were hoping to see one, and as they were nearing right before becoming visible to the naked eye, they fell apart. This happens quite often because that's what the sun does them. If you want to check out where the comet at the moment is, you have to go to the Sky Live page where you can get real-time data. So this, at the moment, this is where it is. As you can see, it is beyond Mars, nearing the Earth. That's why we can see it. And of course, once it reaches the sun, it might fall apart, or it just might survive it and go back for another 50,000 years of orbital period. So this is how it is now. And I created this diagram for you to how to detect it in the sky. Look to the north. Try to find the Big Dipper. Sorry, I left this in Hungarian, but I'm going to tell you so you will see what it is. So this is the Big Dipper. We call it Günther because Günther was a Hungarian Taltos. It's kind of like a shaman, a little bit more than a shaman, because it's a seer, an oracle, and a healer in one. And we were naming this particular asterism after him. And if you look at the Big Dipper's side, measure, some say 5, some say 7 times the sides, and they will point directly to the to Polaris, the northern pole star. And you can see also the W of Cassiopeia, and there's Camelopardalis between the two. These are very dim stars. You won't actually be able to see them properly because they are above 4 magnitude, something like that. They are really, really very dim. But at the same time, you can see that these are 3 very distinct objects: Cassiopeia, Big Dipper, and Polaris. And it is below Polaris, that's where Camelopardalis is, and at the moment, this is where you find the comet to the north. So you have to look for the north celestial pole. And this is why I think, I can't be sure, but I think here's another way of looking at it, and here's Camelopardalis. So here's the Cassiopeia W, and then the Big Dipper is somewhere here. So this is another way to find it, but you need to look to the north and find the pole star, the north celestial pole. And there's another picture that I found in the National Geographic. This is coming from the Hungarian version of it, and I enhanced for you in English as well. According to them, which I'm not sure is right, according to them, between February 11th and 13th, the comet will be conjunct Mars. Obviously, it will be conjunct in the longitude, but I doubt that it is going to be really in the near the ecliptic. This is what my hunch. I think this is a wrong picture, but I still put it in here for you. And of course, I will revert once we actually get to the 11th of February and see with our own eyes where it is. But I don't really think that this is going to be that fast, because think about it. At the moment, it is to the east, and in 10 days, it should cover the distance of half the sky. I'm not sure that this is valid, but anyhow, this is how you can find it in the sky. Look for Taurus, okay, the V of Taurus, and above Taurus you will see the Pleiades. This little, it's like a mini dipper, really. This is the tiniest of the named constellations. It's barely half a degree in width. And above Aldebaran, which is the alpha star of Taurus, you will find Mars at the moment. It's really red and beautiful. And below it, just below it, this is where the comet should be, according to National Geographic. Again, this comes from the Hungarian version of the online version. But I did put here the astrological placements. When I started making this drawing, it was actually at 12 degrees Cancer. But on February the 1st, it's at 7 degrees. So in January, it made like 4-5 degrees per day. And now it is slowing down. As it is crossing over to Gemini, you will see that indeed between February 11th and 13th, you will see that it is conjunct Mars, but of course in the longitude. So again, I don't think it's going to be, I can't really imagine that at the moment I'm facing to the south, and of course Mars and everything else is towards the south. And I can't imagine how from here in just 11 days it is going to cross over there. I can't, but I may be mistaken. I think it's a genuine mistake by National Geographic. We will see. Within 10 days, we will see. Anyhow, so you can see that it is going backwards in astrological degrees. Between February 11th and 13th, it will be approximately around Gemini 13 degrees, conjunct Mars. And you will have a disseminating moon. So unfortunately, the moon will be still quite bright at that moment. So if you go early in the evening, in the first 2 hours of total darkness, you might be able to see it. And then you can see that how it really slows down. So after February 14th, it only does 1 degree per day, and actually 2 days, and then it takes 3 days to cover 1 degree. So it's actually really, really slowing down. And it will be aligned with Aldebaran, which is again the alpha star of Taurus. Here's the star. So that's, again, this is at 10 degrees, Mars will be at 12 degrees, 12, 13 degrees. So you can see that it covers this distance in like 5 days, maybe 5, 6 days. And you will also want to know that during this time, when it is aligned with Aldebaran, you will have last quarter, balsamic moon, and new moon, which gives us enough darkness to be able to observe it much better. Why did I? Okay. Anyhow, so that's how it is. And then let's take a look at how we delineate comets. As I said, because they were unpredictable, despite the fact that, yes, sometimes they noted if a comet had an orbital period within a human lifespan, they were able to detect it and able to see the cycle in it. But if they were out of the blue comets, or if they had a really enormous orbital period, like 40, 50,000 years, there was no way to detect them and to record them. So whenever they appeared in the sky, they heralded something unusual, unpredictable, and thus something really bad and frightening, scary things. So the traditional view also looked at its color. It looked at 3 things. It looked at its color, and this particular one is green. And there are 2 planets linked to green. One is Venus, and the other one is Mercury. So again, we might detect in the news what it is going to be linked at. They also looked at the astrological sign in which it appeared. Now, it did appear in Cancer. And actually, it was in Cancer in the last couple of weeks. And now it is going to be visible by the naked eye at the beginning of Cancer, because on the 1st of February, it's still at the very beginning of Cancer. And then it moved backwards into Gemini. And actually, the astrological sign of Gemini is linked to communication. It is linked to the news, how you detect things, how you communicate things, and how you make yourself understood. So when we go back to the color green, I would suggest that it's probably much more linked to Mercury this time than Venus. We will see. And then the third thing that they are also going to look at, or they looked at in ancient astrology, was whether it was conjunct anything in that particular sign. And also another thing we keep forgetting is the fact that in old times, certain regions, certain nations, peoples were linked to astrological signs. For instance, we Hungarians are linked to Sagittarius, and doesn't mean that any form of government was established when the sun was in Gemini. It's the nature of the sign and the nature of the peoples who are going to be linked, and it's not something that you can actually explain by astrological lore. It is more tradition. If you go to, and if you look at Nicholas Campion's book, The World Horoscopes, you will find the correlations. I can't actually tell you which country is linked to Gemini, but there's a list in there, I know. So those countries or those peoples were more affected by the comet. That's what tradition says. And as I said, the third thing was whether or not it was conjunct anything. And yes, it will be conjunct Mars. And then at the end of the cycle, sometime it will also be conjunct very briefly with the moon, because the moon will be in Gemini at the end of the month sometime. So it's actually that's there as well. So the traditional view linked comets to all kinds of natural and man-made disasters, diseases, plagues, wars, famine, droughts, tsunamis, hailstorms, whatever disaster there was. Also wars, so man-made disasters, of course, as well. And all sorts of grievances, anger, suffering, and death were linked to them as well. And the passing of old things and new things coming in the forefront. So that was it. The sudden appearance of something that was so far hidden, or that was not heard of yet, something brand new, something that wasn't there before. Those were the traditional delineation aspects. And then the karmic view, how we look at comets. If you think back how there were at least, I think, 3 different comets during the COVID pandemic hysteria, we can say that yes, stemming from the traditional delineation, comets denote collective fear, how collective hysteria and fear mongering is going to come up from the subconscious. Also, new ideas and new emotions may manifest during a comet. Frozen or hidden issues are being freed, released, or ignited. Ignited because when it is nearing the sun actually ignites it, and it can burn to death. It can fall apart. So that's why. And if you look around, I mean, people are so fed up with the war, so fed up by our leaders who are constantly telling us what to do, and we just want to get on with our lives, and we hate being told and being restricted. That's exactly what's happening. So you can actually see it with your own eyes. And also, something surfaces from the collective unconscious, triggered by unpredictable events. Now, again, if you look around and you see the word news, I watch a lot of US TV, of course, on the internet, and I don't know whether you noticed it or registered it, but Biden, I think, just announced, or some official just announced that officially the pandemic era is finished. So now they're trying to get us back to normal, although they don't like us to be back to normal. That's for sure. If they need some collective hysteria to be able to put us into the corner and allow us not to move, not to act, not to be free. That's something their agenda. In big time, the world leaders. I mean, the World Economic Forum just finished, and take a look at the hysteria that, for instance, Al Gore was screaming. I mean, so idiotic. Really, these old men, rich old men who are coming in their private jets and trying to push things upon us. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's scary in a way, but also ridiculous. So as I'm recording this, they just announced that there's going to be a huge strike in England. A lot of the unions are participating, bus drivers, teachers, and so on. So people are going to revolt, and people think the collective anger is coming out from the unconscious. That's something for sure. And as Gemini rules communication, we need to watch the news as well. So we do live in interesting times, as the biggest Chinese curse is telling us. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.